So let's now take a look at Plan S, which is a recent policy initiative. It was launched in 2018. An initiative for open access scholarly publishing by a coalition, Coalition S, a consortium of research agencies across 20 countries from all over the world. And the key principle in Plan S states that by 2021, research funded by public or private grants must be published in open access journals or platforms or made immediately available in open access repositories without any embargo. So let's take a look and listen to John Arne Ruttinge, who is the former CEO of the Research Council Norway and also being one of the initiators of Plan S.
Well, thank you, and it's good to be here, and great you are organizing this course. So at the time of the establishment of Plan S, I was the chief executive of the Research Council of Norway, and remember an early visit from Robert Jan Smits to Oslo, where we discussed the potential of funders coming together to set some principles on open access. So I was involved early on from discussing principles, and was involved in the first meeting where we, at least the core group of funders, decided on the 10 principles of Plan S. And then later I was active in the executive steering group as one of their members, and I was also co-chairs of together with David Sweeney from the UKRI, the working group that developed the guidance document on implementation of Plan S. We should acknowledge that there are no magic bullets, and that Plan S is one part of a larger sort of effort and movement towards fully open access from day one at the time of publication. As you know, the European umbrella organization for research funders, Science Europe, had already established guidelines and objectives on open access that were progressive. But I would say that Plan S, what was different with Plan S was that funders decided to really implement this as mandates of their grants, so that research organizations and individual researchers receiving grants from the Plan S agencies or the research funding agencies that had sort of become members of Plan S would be obliged to follow the requirements in the 10 principles and in the implementation documents. And that makes a difference, because then you have, of course, stronger requirements on what you need to achieve and do as a researcher, but you also actually have full backing from your funder when you want to go towards a direction of full open access. And it helps you in your, as an individual researcher, in your discussion with a publisher when you're publishing your manuscripts. And of course, it also put a clear expectation on your institution on following the same principles and rules and regulations. Yes, because I see this as just one part of the broader open science movement. Now in my current role as Global Health Ambassador of Norway, of course, we've seen the value of open science and international collaboration and effective international collaboration when it comes to the COVID-19 pandemic. We see how the speed of new insights, knowledge sharing is increased when we have a more open approach, not only to the communications, but also to data and to your approaches in the research process. So I hope that data sharing, but also sharing your methods and your protocols and your approaches to science could be a part of a broader set of mandates from funders. I think that will overall benefit science, and it will make us deliver more to society and faster. And hopefully it can also nurture a culture of both national and international collaboration.
So that was John Arne Ruttinge, and he mentioned 10 principles of Plan S. Let's take a look at these some of these key principles in some more detail. Something that is clearly expressed in Plan S is, and I mentioned it already, is that authors should retain copyright on their publications. which must be published under open licenses. So Plan S stimulates the license types that are on top of the graph I showed you moments ago. Publication fees should be covered by funders or universities, so not by individual researchers, taking away this financial constraint from a place where it shouldn't be. Such publication fees should be commensurate with service delivered, so it should be in balance with what you get in return from publishing your paper with a publisher. Open archives and repositories are acknowledged for their importance. So, like I said, it opens up for preprint publishing, and also hybrid open access journals are not compliant with the key principle. So Plan S actually excludes hybrid open access publishing, as we discussed it before, as a way forward to publish scholarly research outputs. An important newer addition to Plan S is the Plan S rights retention strategy. And this is actually giving more freedom, but also more autonomy to publishing researchers, to publishing academics. So you can submit to journals of choice, even subscription journals. And CC BY licenses are required for all author accepted manuscripts, AAMs, or versions of record, 4. But the requirement of CC BY licensing also applies on all future AAMs or forthcoming from funded research, so from applied grants. Embargoes disappear completely, and the paper should be open access available at the moment of publication. And this all applies on the journals of choice of publishers, with which no agreements are made yet. So basically what it says, this rights retention strategy, is that it puts the prioritizing the funding over the agreements that are made with publishers. So thereby overtaking existing agreements that limit open access publishing as it is now. I already mentioned transformative agreements when we talked about, when I introduced hybrid publishing. And these transformative agreements, or big deals, or read and publish agreements as they are called, are actually initiatives to negotiate on a national level the access to open access publishing in otherwise toll access journals. And for example, in the Netherlands we have such transformative agreements with a number of publishing houses. Important goal of the whole transformative agreement philosophy is that these journals should at a certain moment transform. So they should flip into a situation whereby open access becomes the standard, moving towards full open access gold format. And what we see is that, and I know that for the Dutch situation, but I think that's the situation now more and more in many other national contexts, is that large publishing houses like Springer Nature, Wiley, Taylor Francis, OUP, Elsevier Science, to name a few, are all involved in these transformative agreements. Then a little bit about open access mandates in some European countries, because Plan S was launched, as I said, in 2018, but of course that was not the first moment where open access was actually pushed forward as a way to change the scholarly publishing system. Because in many countries already existing mandates or policies were there. For example, in Norway, the national open access policy at the moment is in line with Coalition S, and the goal is set to 100% open access papers by 2024. The Netherlands, however, the open access mandate is still based upon the first policy steps in 2013-14, whereby the focus is on gold open access publishing, with 60% open access in 2018, and initially aiming at 2022 for having 100% open access, but that was aligned with EU goals, and it was actually speeded up to have 100% open access in 2022. But keep in mind that it is mostly focusing on journal publishing, because book chapter publishing are exempted from the current national mandate. Then we have Denmark, where the focus is mostly on green open access, but the current policies, national policies, do not exclude gold, as long as it does not increase publication expenses. So basically, it is about green open access, it is about a certain level of publishing involved, and it basically says that as long as it doesn't cost. So basically this is saying you should publish in a diamond format. Then we have Sweden. So publications from publicly funded research must be openly accessible starting from 2021 onwards. So basically it is a full OA-oriented national policy. And the underlying data for the papers that have to be open from 2021 onwards should be open in 2026. So basically there is a 5-year time frame for making these results that are underlying papers published from 2021 onwards openly accessible. And then the UK, which is the clear opposite to what's happening in Denmark. Already for some years, the focus is on gold open access publishing, whereby only open access published material is to be included in a national research assessment framework, the REF, and that's already now for the second cycle the standard approach to make gold open access possible in the UK.